dito. Ma'am, ada dulu. Ada dulu.
Huh? I'll just do like this. Oh, it's something. I'm about to leave. We're at the airport.
One day I'm gonna
Anong
be
gate mo, Seth?
D.
Anong gate mo? D.
One day
There.
one day I'm gonna see this airport again. But then it's not you
But
going.
you're on your way to the Philippines by
It's not you
then.
going. It's me going back.
There. Top. Ito ba?
Hey, tingnan mo nga doon sa on the course. How much the regular coffee?
Here I go. How do you do? Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ba yan? Natang Asian. Oh, baka may magreklamo. Alis na ako. Bye-bye. See ya soon.
Video pala siya.
Attention to the boarding area. Seating on the senior floor. Final passengers.
Service in Europe, D57.
Programs by following these practices. Do not accept guidance from persons you do not know.
I thought I would immortalize this experience because, well, it's overwhelming at the time, and it's surreal, and I still can't believe that I made it back to Manila. Here's the synopsis, like a short version. I almost missed my flight to Manila because my flight to San Francisco, where my connecting flight is, was delayed for 3 hours. Here's how the story began. So I was enjoying my book. I was reading Ecce Homo by Nietzsche. So I was really feeling it. I was seated there by the gate, just awaiting boarding time, when all of a sudden, I received a text alert from Fly United, and I'll show you the first text alert. So a little backstory. I was coming from Las Vegas. So my flight is from Las Vegas to San Francisco and San Francisco to Manila. Both airlines are United Airlines. My Las Vegas flight to San Francisco, it was originally scheduled at 6 p.m. So boarding was at 5:20. My connecting flight in San Francisco, my Manila flight, is scheduled at 11:35. Boarding starts at 10:45 p.m. I was pretty chill. I knew I had ample time in San Francisco, about 3.5 hours. I thought I can have my dinner there, walk around. I had all these plans, things to buy at duty free. When I received that text alert, I didn't really panic because I knew I had enough time in San Francisco. I only had to check how much time I have left. From 6 p.m., my now scheduled flight to San Francisco was at 7:52 p.m. with estimated arrival in San Francisco at 9:30. The alert said it was because of air traffic congestion. I mean, that's normal. It happens. And then this is where it started going downhill. So around 7 p.m., I got another text alert that my flight was further delayed. The current departure time is now at 8:37 p.m. with estimated arrival time in San Francisco at 10:16 p.m. Now, if you remember, the boarding time for my flight to Manila is at 10:45. So I have, from 3 hours, I only have 30 minutes left. The window is too tight, but it's a window nonetheless. That's not what I'm worried about. Like everyone else in the situation, my senses are heightened. I was observing everyone around me, my co-passengers, the crew. I was also on the phone with my mom because I was giving her updates about this delays. I was facing the gate. So in front of me are passengers lined up for rebooking. And seeing this, my mind races. I was thinking this final time of departure should be final, right? Because otherwise, if it gets further delayed, I will definitely miss my connecting flight to Manila. Then I checked around on Google, try to figure out what was happening, because I've been delayed many times before, but never more than 2 hours. And so I was wondering, like, what is wrong in San Francisco? I checked the app, I checked my email, and that's when I read email alert from Fly United explaining that there is a runway construction in San Francisco. I'll show you the photo. And then the ground staff added only limited aircrafts are being allowed to land in San Francisco because of strong winds. So there was a little confusion as to what really is going on. Was it really just air congestion? Is there a runway construction? Is it because of strong winds? Because I have to determine the reason for the delay to decide whether or not I should rebook. Because my main worry is that if I miss my Manila flight, I'll be staying in San Francisco airport for a longer time. And I also checked available flights, just in case, any other flights to Manila. And that's when I found out that United Airlines only fly to Manila once, and it's only at 11:35 in the evening. So if I miss my 11:35 flight, I have to wait 24 hours to catch another flight to Manila. And I was really worried about that because I don't want to stay in an airport for 24 hours. The only thing that came to mind was that movie, The Terminal. This is around the time where I started to panic. I started to overthink. Now, I've traveled domestic and international flights alone. I think by now I traveled alone more times than I ever did with company. I've met delays before, rebookings, canceled flights, being absolutely clueless at a foreign airport. There was even a time when our plane couldn't land, so we had to fly back. There was a time that my suitcase was destroyed upon arrival, the time my baggage didn't arrive at the carousel, or the time the plane went back to tarmac because they forgot to load baggages right when the plane was about to depart. And all of which are stressful situations, but if there's one thing that law school taught me, it's how to handle stress. In those times, I was stressed, I was anxious, but I wasn't scared. This is the first time that I felt genuinely scared, like a kid about to cry. And I remember closing my eyes briefly, and like a kid with a birthday cake, I wished that I wasn't alone. You know, the difference this time is with the problems that I've mentioned before, like small delays, rebookings. You know, there's always a solution to that. In my head, I can rationalize and justify my decisions. That's actually where the confidence comes from. And with that confidence, I don't get scared. I'm loyal to my decision and I cut out all my what ifs. What actually scared me this time is the fact that I was faced with two possible solutions and neither of which weighs greater than the other. I couldn't trust my decision. I couldn't trust myself to make a decision. So let me give you a rundown of my options, right? Like option A, as long as I don't get any further delays, I can still make it to my connecting flight because I have 30 minutes window, but I have to risk it. Remember when I told you that I need to find out the reason of the delay because it will greatly affect whether or not it gets further delayed or if it even lands at its estimated time of arrival. I mean, because if the problem is the weather, as they say that there's strong winds, then it's a huge risk because it's a variable that I cannot control, that no one can control. And the plane might end up idling on air and unable to land. Even if we do land, I'd definitely be missing my flight because I only have a 30-minute window. Now, a variance of that option, 8.1, is to rebook my flight to Manila. I don't need to worry if my Las Vegas flight gets further delayed because I'll just rebook my Manila flight, whether or not I get there on time in San Francisco. But my problem is, right, this is what I said before, United Airlines only has one flight to Manila, like one direct flight to Manila, and it's at 11:35 in the evening. So again, I have to wait 24 hours in San Francisco, and I didn't really have a good time the first time that I stayed at San Francisco airport because I took the same route going to Las Vegas in December, and I also missed my connecting flight to Las Vegas, and I have to stay for more than 12 hours in San Francisco. That wasn't a good time. I don't want to do that again. It was traumatizing. This option is not ideal, but it's survivable. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's not as bad. Now, option B is where I got really confused because part of me wants to choose option B. I'll assume that I'll miss my flight in San Francisco and rebook all of my flights, including my Las Vegas to San Francisco, and ask my family to pick me up at the airport, and I'll get to spend more time with them. Now, this is all happening in my head. In the end, I chose option A, but I wasn't confident in it. Like, part of me wants to choose option B. With all things considered, I think there is a big possibility that my plane won't be able to land straight away when we get to San Francisco because of the weather. That would eat more time. But for some reason, I risked it. I knew deep down in my gut that it wasn't the logical solution. It wasn't the safe choice. Staying behind is perhaps even the best choice because, I get to spend more time with my family. I don't know. I just prayed to the gods that night I was lucky. I picked the unsafe solution and hoped for the best. I didn't trust my decision, but I went with it anyway. And I can't believe it worked. Looking back, I think it's all thanks to the crew and the pilot as well. I remember one distinct announcement from the pilot, non-verbatim. He said, "We're maintaining our fastest speed so we can get you to the airport as quickly as possible." So he was doing his best. And he knew the situation that we're in because there were a lot of people there who had connecting flights. And right when we're about to exit the plane, the FAA made us raise our hands, those who have tight connections. And they actually made us leave first. I wasn't looking at the time throughout the entire ride. I was just laying it down to the gods and praying that somehow there's a miracle. So if you remember, right, the plane was delayed and we are now scheduled to fly out of Vegas at 8:57. And the pilot who kept giving us updates, the last I remember him telling the time, it was 9:11. So that means that the estimated time of arrival would also stretch. But I don't know, my mind was blank. I was hoping for a miracle. I was nervous, but really there's nothing else I can do. I was already in the plane. I was already boarded. The plane is already on the way to San Francisco. In my head, I was mentally preparing to stay in San Francisco for 24 hours. The pilot also said, "Let's hope your connecting flight gets delayed a little because all aircrafts are experiencing the same thing in San Francisco. They're all unable to land." He said that only one runway is working in San Francisco. But, my Manila flight wasn't delayed at all. We left at exactly 11:35. So fast forward, right? The plane landed. So the estimated time of arrival when we leave at 8:57 is 10:16. The plane left later, right? Like I said earlier, the plane landed in San Francisco at exactly 10:16. What are the odds? I was able to exit the aircraft entirely at exactly 10:25 p.m. Every minute counts. I ran and people were running too. I wasn't alone. Everyone was running, trying to get to the international gates. I arrived at the boarding gate of my Manila flight 5 minutes earlier and my nerves calmed down. I don't know why I was so worried because boarding doesn't end until 11:11. But I was just trying to get there in time at the start of the boarding time. That was just my best case scenario. That was my aim. You know what they say, aim for the moon. So when you land for the stars, it's something. I forgot. When I got there, I breathed. I took my time to freshen up a little. Except I didn't eat dinner. I was starving. I couldn't eat in Las Vegas because I was anxious. I thank goodness that my mom gave me these protein bars to eat. Those saved me. I also just wanted to add something that I've internalized at this moment and I've noticed. Nothing compares to the comfort of being surrounded by your kababayans, your fellow Filipinos, all speaking the native language. I've stayed in the US for only 10 weeks, but I've overused my English in this trip that I've noticed that I've consciously been using po and opo more, at the gate, as if my saying okay po, is instead of the lonesome word okay, is a declaration that yes, I am one of you. Like, I'm Filipino and I'm going home with you. When the FA said to me, welcome po, it hits different. Like, I feel like I can calm down. Like, I'm home. And nothing defeats the sound of cheers and laughs of Filipinos in congregation. Even the elderly ones who were there prematurely waiting and crowding the gate is somewhat comforting. You notice the absence of, people in suits, glued to their laptops and their AirPods. People there at the gate, they were talking to each other. It's as if they knew each other. It's like being in a school bus with your friends on a field trip. It feels like that, like hearing Tagalog. After entertaining the idea of staying in San Francisco for 24 hours alone, it's a blessing. And I was genuinely happy to be there. I can only imagine being an OFW and being on that plane, going back to your motherland, and I don't know, it just made me reflect, made me appreciate my country more. I don't know, it sounds cheesy, like, ugh, but it is what it is.